What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool news video, and this will be another injury news video. I can't believe it, because Joe Gomez has suffered a serious, very serious injury on England duty, which could see him miss the rest of the games this year, so he could be back as late as next year. And this is now a full-blown defensive injury crisis. Virgil van Dijk is already out long term, Trent Alexander-Arnold is out for a month, Joe Gomez could be out for 1, 2, 3 months, we don't know that yet. And Liverpool still have Fabinho out, he could be back after the international break. And we also have Joel Matip, who is made of glass, and Andy Robertson. Those are the only two fit senior centre-backs, and we can't rely on Matip's fitness. So now either Liverpool play Reece Williams and Nathaniel Phillips regularly, I mean every single game we have to play a 19 or a 23-year-old centre-back who is not really experienced, or Liverpool plunge into the free agent market and sign somebody who is experienced like Ezekiel Garay. But let's talk about the options later. So the Daily Mail, the Goal.com website, the Guardian, the Telegraph, a lot of newspapers are reporting that Liverpool fear that Joe Gomez has suffered a very serious injury while on England duty. By the way, how much do you hate the international break? Because in the middle of a pandemic where thousands of people are dying every day because of this virus, to host friendly games, international friendly games and Nations League games, which are glorified friendlies basically, is nonsensical, and Liverpool are paying a very, very heavy price for that. And for Gomez to get injured in training is desperately unlucky. But if you look at his injury record, Joe Gomez in total already spent almost 600 days on the treatment table, which is more than a full year, almost 2 years. Considering Joe Gomez is what, like 23, 24 years old, for him to miss almost 2 years of his career because of injury means that he's also a very injury prone player. And we knew that the most games that Joe Gomez played in a row was 10 games in a row before this injury, but the average is like 5-6 games. So Joe Gomez every 5 or 6 games gets injured on average, so this is not really a surprise. The injury will rule out Joe Gomez for the foreseeable future. And this is a huge blow to Liverpool's title aspirations and Champions League aspirations, because yes, Liverpool is a very resilient team, but how many games can we expect Liverpool to really pick out points from when Joe Gomez could miss Leicester, Brighton, Wolves, Fulham, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, West Brom and Newcastle? Those are the games before the January window opens. That is still 8 Premier League games where we will have to play probably Fabinho and Matip when they are fit, but Matip will get injured very, very soon. I just have a feeling for that, because Matip in total played like 3 games or 4 games this whole calendar year. That says a lot about Matip's overall fitness issues. And I mean, yes, Fabinho is a great makeshift centre-back, but Liverpool will have to play Reece Williams or Nathaniel Phillips in the majority of these games, I feel. And how many points will Liverpool pick up from this? I think Jurgen Klopp needs to alter the tactics of the team, and also Liverpool just need to go on a rampage and try to score 4 goals and win 4-3 or 3-2, something like that, because defensively we won't be able, I think, to keep many clean sheets without Gomez, Matip and Van Dijk regularly. I mean, this is a really concerning time for Liverpool fans, and Jurgen Klopp is likely to be absolutely fuming, just like many Liverpool fans are fuming right now hearing this news, because Jurgen Klopp already spoke out against the incredibly tough fixture list that these players are required to basically play every 3 days for 8 or 9 months. It's absolutely ridiculous, and Jurgen Klopp, I think, will have even a stronger word on this issue. Jurgen Klopp already said that hopefully we can play the Euros next summer, but if we continue like this, let's see which players can be part of that. We played last month after the international break at 12:30 at lunchtime basically at Everton. Some of my players were coming back from Peru. These kind of things should not happen, and I fully agree with Jurgen Klopp. He said it's a lack of leadership from the Premier League. Premier League chief executive Richard Masters sold it completely wrong, that it's not an advantage which basically to have 5 substitutions, it's necessary to avoid further injuries. But the Premier League is adamant that 3 substitutions will stay, and that just will mean more and more key players will get injured, and we will see more and more of the big teams suffer from very, very serious injuries. And I wish Joe Gomez a speedy recovery, but he had already 5 very, very serious injuries. I mean, he got done his cruciate ligament injury in 2015 when Gareth Southgate was the England under-21 manager, and when Gomez got the injury, Gareth Southgate sent Gomez back on the pitch to play with a torn ACL, which is absolutely ludicrous, and he missed almost a whole year, 234 days with that injury. And then he got an Achilles tendon problem in 2016 where he missed 128 days with injury. Then 2 smaller ankle injuries where he missed 1 month and 2 months because of that in 2018. And then at the end of 2018 he got another very serious ankle injury where he missed 121 days. That's 4 full months. So those are the kind of injuries that Joe Gomez suffered. I mean, at one time he missed 52 Liverpool games. That's a whole season. Another time he missed 23 games. That's half of a Liverpool season. And yeah, Joe Gomez is a very, very serious doubt now for Liverpool for the next 2 or 3 months. And now Liverpool have some solutions in their team that we could go with. We could play Andy Robertson as a centre-back, and we could play either Tsimikas or James Milner, depending on who is fit, at left-back, which is not the best case scenario, not the ideal solution. The other big question is who plays right-back. Neco Williams will probably play right-back because Trent Alexander-Arnold is also injured. Hopefully Trent's injury is not that serious and he will be able to come back in 2 or 3 weeks after the international break, but we still don't know yet exactly how that will play out. And I mean, Alexander-Arnold getting injured is no shock given that he already has 951 minutes for Liverpool in just the first 2 months of the season. And I seriously worry for Andy Robertson because he has even more. He has 1084 minutes playing this season, so it's just a matter of time until Andy Robertson gets injured, and then Liverpool will be in even bigger trouble. We are already in absolute crisis mode, injury crisis mode. And I mean, Robertson is off on Scotland duty, and he will put 3 more grueling games for Scotland into his legs. So by the time he comes back to Liverpool, I mean, he will be absolutely exhausted. And Richard Masters, the Premier League chief executive, who both Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp heavily criticized for the whole fixture list, the implementation, and also the 5 substitutes rule. And he said, which is absolutely staggering to me, that he understands the concern of Klopp and Guardiola, but the rule is not changing. There is an argument to be made that 5 substitutes change the competitive balance of the football match versus the very real issues about player welfare, he said. I think it's a finely balanced argument. We have had 2 votes on it at club level and both have been relatively conclusively supportive of 3 substitutions, returning to that model, which has been the historic one. That has created some frustration in the system, which you are seeing alongside discussions about the fixture scheduling, which again is a pandemic-related issue. So you can see why it is an issue for debate, particularly if you are in Jurgen Klopp's or Pep Guardiola's case competing in Europe. It is busier, and it's also coupled with the fact that we ended the season at the end of July and not the end of May, and the normal rest periods haven't been taken into account. So there is a real issue there, and it has been discussed at length. I don't foresee it changing in the foreseeable future. Wow, this makes me so angry. I mean, this guy has probably millions in the bank account, is sitting in a chair and lecturing us about player welfare when he doesn't even care about that. He just wants to make as much money as possible for the Premier League and for himself as well. It's just pure greed. And I mean, it already is pretty evident that England and the Premier League handled this absolutely terribly, because every other league in Europe, every other major league has 5 substitutions. And I mean, yes, the historic rule is free substitutes. We are in unprecedented times. We have the worst pandemic in Europe in 100 years, and also the worst football schedule in probably forever. Never before has been this many games in such short period of time, and to still persist with free substitutions in the Premier League is absolutely unacceptable for me. And I don't think that's a big advantage for the big clubs, because the small clubs now have quite a lot of money as well, so they have quite big squads as well. And I mean, yes, the small clubs have maybe weaker squads, but they don't have as many international players. And now that every international break, the international footballers play 3 games in 2 weeks, I think that counterbalances the argument that it is an advantage to the big clubs to have 5 substitutions. I don't think it's that big of an advantage. And I mean, do you want this happen at every big club? An injury crisis where all the players are falling down left, right and center. I think that will inevitably happen sooner or later. And what this will result in is that a lot of big players will miss the Euros, because a lot of them will be absolutely exhausted and they will just get long-term injury after long-term injury during this crazy season, because they are not getting enough rest. And now Jurgen Klopp is in a serious trouble. How will he set up his Liverpool defense for the next 2 months without Van Dijk, without Joe Gomez, without Trent Alexander-Arnold? It's a major concern. I mean, that's 3 of your backline, back 4. 3 of your regular back 4 are missing. And that is now probably the biggest challenge in Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool career. And I'm reading a very interesting article on goal.com that Liverpool against Midtjylland could be cancelled because of the new travel ban which was introduced by the UK government. The travel rules that were introduced state that non-UK citizens are not permitted to travel back from the Scandinavian country Denmark due to the discovery of a new strain of virus, while UK citizens who return must self-isolate for 14 days. I already read some articles about this, that a new strain of the virus was discovered when from mink farms, from minks the virus traveled to humans, and it's a new strain, a much more dangerous strain of the virus, a much more like vaccine resistant type of the virus, and it's very important to contain that and not to let it spread throughout the world, because then we could face this pandemic for many years to come. And this could mean that crucial players would be forced to miss Premier League fixtures upon return from the European Games. And I mean, these virus-related travel protocols were waived for athletes in the elite sport because they were tested very regularly. But the new UK government policy states that unlike other travel to the UK, there will be no exceptions to this quarantine policy. So if you go to Denmark, if you come back, you have to quarantine for like 2 or 3 weeks, and that is very concerning for Liverpool. Midtjylland could also host Liverpool in a neutral venue that is not in Denmark, or the UK should the travel restriction could continue to be upheld. So Liverpool might possibly have to maybe even forfeit the game due to the new travel restrictions unless they change. So it's a very concerning development. For example, according to the rules, Iceland players would not be allowed to enter England unless new government exceptions are made. The FA would also explore options of staging the match abroad if it cannot go ahead in the UK, because England will have to play Iceland at Wembley, or that's the scheduled game on November the 18th. So what do you think about this? I think it's a very interesting development, and I don't really like this. Congratulations to Wijnaldum, who was made the Netherlands captain in the absence of Virgil van Dijk, and I think he just turned 30 years old. And Wijnaldum was actually pretty angry in a press conference when he was asked what is the update on his Liverpool contract, and he says, "I can't say anything about that. Just ask Liverpool those questions. Don't they answer? I cannot say anything about it, including whether or not there is a talk of a new contract between me and Liverpool, sorry." So that is very ambiguous. I think if he was in talks with Liverpool, or if he was about to sign with Liverpool, he wouldn't have made this very sharp, cold response. So I think he's very unhappy that he basically has to leave Liverpool at the end of the season because it looks like there is no other contract offer on the table for Wijnaldum. And I'm not sure how to feel about that. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.